Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJN TV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJN TV Insiders.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this fine Monday evening. Thank you very much for taking time out of your night to join us, John and I. Yes, that's me. A little different, but it's okay. We have a good show for you tonight. This has been an interesting topic, one that I think has come on because everybody's sitting at home going, all right, I wanted to redo my stuff. I wanted to look at things a little bit differently. I wanted to have a better understanding of my music, but I never have time to do it. And now you have all the time in the world. So we want to try and help you out.
Yes. So my suggestion is you go to the local store, you buy 4 gallons of milk at a time. They give you the milk in a crate, and then you bring the crates home, throw the milk away, you don't need it, and then put your favorite vinyl in it. Okay, show's over. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.
Except for they don't let you buy 4 gallons at a time right now. 1.
That's true. That is true. Although Lori, she stopped at her spot on Thursdays where she typically buys milk and bananas. This is a gas station that goes through a lot of those. Because they've gone through such a little bit of that, they not only let her buy 4, I think they ended up they're like 6. We'll give you 6 because they were supposed to be a limit of whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they brought the milk crate out with the 4 extra ones she helped carry out. And it's like, do you want your crate back? Yeah, you can keep it. It's like, album storage. Yay! Oh. So did you get a chance to watch the first show tonight, the 70s show?
I did not.
We had so much
dealing with a whiny 4-year-old.
I think I would have rather had the whiny 4-year-old than the internet issues we were having. Restream had just completely crapped out during that. So hopefully that won't happen again. But we were trying to send to Restream to some Facebook spots, and we started good. And I started to eliminate the Facebook spots because of streaming music. And then it just crashed. Restream crashed. Tried to connect again. We were on for about 30 seconds, and then it crashed again. And then we went right to YouTube, and we were fine. So the video is still on YouTube, and it's not monetized type of thing, but it isn't blocked yet. So for those of you who want to check it out, go out there. I'm going to say I took the video down or recorded it, so I'm going to clean up the beginning and the end, and then put that up on the DJN TV training site with the full list of music. But I went through and picked out about 80-some songs that were 70 songs that DJs, specifically like my boys who are getting into it and getting to weddings, songs they should be aware of. So that was that. So that would be actually 2 different crates that I would make in my virtual DJ. He says I was talking about the songs. I had in essence, the 70s hits, bangers, what have you. I don't like to use the term bangers, but that seems to be what everyone else is referring to them as right now. And then the 70s cocktail, kind of that dinner, cocktail and social hour, because that 70s social hour music has been, it was incredibly successful. I gave out more cards during that particular period of time last summer than at any other point in time of the night. And partially because they had already gotten a card, so getting it later wouldn't have been, oh, I need another card. Wow, the first one was great. Now I want another. No, it didn't happen that way. So that's my crate thoughts for tonight so far.
Yeah. So you threw me for a loop though, because originally we talked about going a different direction.
Well, we can, but that's where I just was going to. That's. But now we can organize music folders.
Well, no, we were going to talk like we were throwing scenarios at each other.
Well, yeah, we could do that, but that really wouldn't be music folder playing. That would be music sets.
Yes.
So that's another show that I want to get to. We'll get to the actual music sets where we throw out songs and go that. I just knew I wasn't going to have enough time to be thinking sets for this week and doing that. But for those of you who watch quite a bit, we're going to be kind of taking a little bit of a change here for the next couple of weeks. We've done the serious ones, we've done the business shows, what have you. Starting next week, well, even a little this week, is shows are going to be basically more around music. Music and social time. The chill room, which starts up, will be going here after our show's over tonight. DJNTV.com/chill. We had to change it because there, as you guys have probably heard, there's been some some issues with Zoom. Well, we didn't have anybody coming in and sharing porn, thankfully, but we had some people coming in there and just being jerks. So we now have it so you have to register with your browser the first time you're going to go in. Name, email, nothing fancy. Then you'll get into the system. And then after that, as long as you use the same methodology to get on there, same device, you should be fine, and it should just go pretty much right in. But if not, it'll propagate the name and things, and you'll get in quickly, however you do it. But the chill room is now going to have a little bit more management as far as we reset it up so then Howie and Brian, who are there most of the times, can be admin and do some different things. So it should go much better, but it takes more time to get in. It's not a click, boom, you're in. There's going to be another step or two. But that chill room, we had a time this past week. There were 30 some people in that chill room again. So that's kind of the direction between talking music and networking. And I think Brian and Jay want to start doing topical nights. And I think they're going to announce those tomorrow night, where every night there will be a discussion topic, and everybody can chime in on that discussion topic. And then after that, it'll be a general chat, and they'll be getting those topics together, and we'll be talking about those. So that's going to be kind of where we're going to be and focusing on for the next probably 3 to 4 weeks, and see where things go from there.
Nice.
So
nice. Okay, that much better. I'm feeling better now.
Yeah.
While you're talking, I was wondering why nobody was in the chat room. I somehow was on the wrong channel with the right video.
So you were on the DJN TV, probably the DJN TV channel, not the Distracting News one.
That's it.
Yep. Because they're talking about everyone in the between Facebook. Scott on Facebook asked, wondering how you can get popular music that you can stream on Facebook. You can't. You just can't. The only thing you can do with popular music is if you can find a redrum or something that has been modified so much that the Facebook spiders aren't going to catch it. But even Reggie with polka music got flagged this past week. So you're taking your chances by going in there. As Digital DJ Tips, they put down 10 tips of things to do. They recommend Twitch. Well, Twitch is about ready to, because they're getting spanked from the ASCAP saying, hey, you can't be letting DJs do this. Twitch is going to be shutting that down here shortly for DJs. And what will happen is they'll probably give you a warning. And then if you stream again and don't delete it, they're going to delete you. I would expect that to come. But yeah, there's no way to do it on Facebook unless you're going to, pitch every song up and make it so I can still understand. I know what song it is, but it doesn't sound like the original. If you can do that, you're probably going to be good. Or if you do quick mixes where you have the two songs over top of each other, and you've got the one beat over top of the lyrics of this one, and they've got this one's beat over that thing, and you're switching every 8 beats or 16 beats, but they're mashed, a mashup that could possibly work. But there's just no other way to do it. Twitch is the best live stream for that. The only way that you can really do it and keep yourself from getting in trouble is to use Zoom, like what Dan and I are using right now, and make a nice animated GIF using a GIF that's basically says, hey, join me out on Zoom for da-da-da-da, link in the description of this, or in the first comment. You don't want to put it in the description, because if you put it in the description, Facebook looks at it and says, oh, look at a link off from our website. We're not going to show it as well. So you say, hey, this is a really cool event. And then you have this animated GIF. Facebook will show that thinking, oh, this is a cool thing. So lots of our users want to see it. And then in your animated GIF, it says link in the first comment, because you don't get penalized for having links in comments. You get penalized for having links in descriptions. So that's your way to get around that. And I would recommend doing that if you really wanted to do it, and then send them to a Zoom meeting. Ideally, you'd use Zoom webinar, but it costs more money. But you do something with Zoom and do your event, and off you go. So there you are.
Or you just record it, don't go live, and then post it to Mixcloud.
Yeah, you can, but the video side of it. I mean, there's nothing better than watching DJs who are sitting there like this. I mean, that just speaks.
Correct you. I've seen a few of those.
It's like that speaks party to me. I mean, I was thinking it was going to be a dead party until I saw that, and then I just knew the party was just about to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I do appreciate the ones that have really, like they're dancing like there's somebody in front of them, and they're, going all out and having a good time with it. I mean, those are the ones that's been fun to watch. But there's been a few that have scrolled through my feed, and I was like, really?
Yeah, there've been, and it's interesting watching the quality of their sets and things. Not the performance side, but the set as far, or the scene that they're using in their software. Like MJ, when he does his, and he's got this view and this view and this view, and he switches scenes in this view and this view and this view, and he's really created something neat there. And then you have some where it's like, they stick the phone up on the edge of the table, and and not only does it sound terrible, but every bass hit it's vibrating. It's like, oh yeah, that's like doing video at DJ Expo. I've been there. Yeah,
and everybody has to have their uplights behind them going on like 12 different colors.
Yeah, Mutz mentions here that found out that you got to do the mashup stuff and do it, and then you're good. I thought about that, but again, what I did with the music show tonight, and it may backfire on me for YouTube. I just did it. I started the stream on Facebook and then we ended up just streaming on YouTube. And then of course I took the video, so I've got it on. I recorded the whole thing, so that way I can drop it in Vimeo, and then I'm going to keep it behind a paywall or behind a login, so that internet spiders can't find it and go to Vimeo and say, hey, look at this video's got some copyright stuff in it. So it's behind a login. It's safe. And if YouTube keeps it up, that'll be a great content or a great resource for DJs looking for 70 music suggestions. But so, yeah. So anyway, let's kind of talk for a little bit about organizing of the music folders and such. This is something, one of those tasks that a person kind of can jump on now. Mm-hmm. As a math person, what's a logical breakdown when it comes to your music folders?
I've had every different type, I think, over the years, and I'm always tweaking and changing and stuff like that, because I've never been happy with what I have. So for the longest time, when I made the transition from CDs to virtual folders to software, I struggled initially because what I did with my CDs is I'd make burnt CDs of by genre. And so my first folders were by genre, mm-hmm. which in the beginning wasn't too bad. But then as you get into record pools and you're doing more and you're getting more and you're getting more. And then it seems like now music comes out and I'm getting like 100 tracks a day or something like that. And so as a result, now my folders are, a couple thousand songs long. Trying to skim through those or go through them, it's become a nightmare. So I got the bright idea a couple years ago of now organizing everything by decades. Mm-hmm. So I do, as far as my mainstream and pop, because those are my two big categories, mainstream pop and we'll say mainstream urban. I do those by decade. Mm-hmm. And then I have another category for my country, and that's just one big folder, just country. And I've got oldies, I've got old school, and things like that. So I do have some mix of the genre and then some by decades. But I'm still finding that it's not been as nice as I'd want. So I watched the Nick Spinelli videos, And I don't know if anybody's checked those out yet or not. He did 3 different videos, one on cocktail, one on dinner, and one on dancing. And it really started getting me thinking. And I saw him at, it wasn't last year's expo, it was the year before, I think, when he first did his talk about create organization. And it really kind of gave me some specifics to go, I like that. So he basically focuses on, you still got all your music. So if somebody comes up and asks for it, you've got it. But you've got now folders, virtual folders, or in Serato, it's crates that are specific to your hit of the hits. You know, rather than having, 4,000 songs in that folder to try and skim through, you've got your hits that you definitely want to make sure that you don't forget about.
Yep. Right.
And whether that's something that has 50 songs, or whether that's something that has, John, with your earlier one, 81 songs or something like that, you still have it narrowed down. In other words, you're doing your skimming when you're not at the event, so that when you get to the event, any one of those that you can actually grab would be good songs, would have a good effect, would result in would give you the results you're looking for. What about you? I mean,
In some ways, you were describing what I've gone to, because I had the folders by oldies, 70s, 80s, what have you, and then I wanted to go through and be more specific. I stayed with the decades concept, but I went through and really started to put the big hits from the era. And then I would have inside the 80s folder, I'd have the fast songs and the ballads from that era. So that way, if I needed an 80s ballad, it would click, and I was into the folder that had said thing. Country music is one that I have probably my way of cataloging that as older country. Basically, I'm pre-1990 and then post-1990. I probably should do a better job of that and break that down farther. For what I do as a wedding DJ, that has been, though, kind of a changeover point. If somebody wants to hear Garth Brooks or something, that's that 90s, and Shania Twain fits into that, and that rolls into some of the newer stuff pretty well. And then, of course, getting into the decades stuff. I don't break things down into pop or dance or things such as that. I mean, MJ has those things broken down so incredibly tight. As a wedding person, you're playing a similar type of music each and every week to a point. So this has been what's working for me to do the decade and then subfolders with upbeat and slow. And then, of course, I have my 80s cocktail type playlist and the 70s cocktail playlist. And then I have kind of a more modern, I guess they would call it a coffee shop type playlist, where it's basically a lot of covers that are redone. And that particular playlist, it doesn't have many in there yet, because I've only got probably a dozen different songs that I use in that time frame. But it's not an area that I've done super, super well, I guess. And it's probably partially because of coming from the CDs, as you were saying. I wonder if a person who started digitally, if they have a whole different way of organizing things, or if they're, a young kid like Shani, she's got a different organizing system than we do by far in what she does.
As I've listened to a lot of people on this topic, whether it's Nick, whether it was Rick Webb, he did one very similar when he did his school dance, kind of also, led into that. I got realizing it was funny because everything I did was virtual folders originally.
Mm-hmm.
So, or Serato crates. Again, I'm one of those weird guys who, depending upon the event, depends on what software I use. So for sake of argument, let's just, whether it's crates or whether it's virtual folders, we're talking the same thing. Okay. So what I would end up doing was, I was the one who always used that style. And then MJ got me into this thing of well, within virtual, if you have your folder system set up, once you've added it to that folder, you don't have to necessarily do anything for the song to be there. You do a recurse, and now the song is found. You don't have to go back and try and find everything the way you would, the way you might have to with others, dropping them in and whatnot. So I was like, oh, that's great. Well, that makes it easy. Now I don't have to update everything. Now I don't have to do like 3 steps just to make sure my music's in the software. I'll do 2 and it'd be great. And then now I'm finding myself, I'm actually getting into kind of a mix where I've got my songs organized by the decades when I need to have or go deeper. But I've still got the virtual folders that I'm starting to create that are specific. So my plan is to ever do weddings and school dances.
Sure.
So my plan is to have my weddings folder and my school dances folders. And so then they just expand, and it's like, okay, well, if I'm not doing school dances, well, that's a tiny little folder. And if I am, then that's big, and the weddings are closed. And it just makes it a little bit nicer to be able to pull at and pull from.
Mm-hmm.
But if I need to do a search, it's, Control F and type what I'm looking for, and I've got it. So it's kind of interesting to have a little bit of both. But going kind of where I was going with that was, hearing these guys that at least I'm pretty sure started with some sort of a digital format. They got into that organizing very specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick refers to it mainly because he was a young guy. And for anybody to take him seriously, he had to know his music. He had to know what he was dealing with. And so he talks about doing a lot of research into making sure he knew what was the right song to play, so that nobody could come up and say, "Oh, you're young, you're only going to play the new stuff." No, like, give him an opportunity to do a little bit of everything.
Yep. Yeah, I think that I can see that younger person, the ones who do their research and who put the time in, you get this, wow, I wouldn't have expected you to know that. I mean, even when I was a younger DJ and I knew my older music because of growing up with my father, people were always, oh, wow, you really know your stuff from back then. And it's like, yeah, I kind of do. And then today, and even Michael doesn't have that background in some of the older songs. Brandon, on the other hand, because he has been more of in that realm between piano and different things, and played with bands all around the area here, he has a different understanding of older music. So it's an interesting situation where, in some ways, Brandon, because of his more diverse knowledge, would be respected more in the wedding DJ realm, or at least by clients, whereas for skill wise, Michael has mixing skills and things at a level that surpasses Brandon and I, run circles around us. So it's just the interesting system. We've got quite a bit of chat going on tonight on the Facebook channels and YouTube. So thank you guys for being with us this evening.
I do say, I think it's important that as you look at this, I mean, this is the key to any organization. If you're not happy with it, if it's not working for you, you've got to do something else. And you could talk to 100 different DJs, and you're going to get 100 different setups and 100 different ideas of how to set it up. And you could try each and every single one of those and not be happy with it, not have it work for you.
Right.
So one of the key elements to this is, during this time when you obviously have this downtime, to organize. I wouldn't do your entire library. I mean, it's ridiculous to try and think that you're going to do that, but to do a folder or two, to set it up for what, maybe trying one of these ideas that somebody else has done for you, or trying, I like this idea, if I go this direction with it, and running with it, and then sit and do one of your mixes, play, try and play and see, first off, are you now grabbing songs that you hadn't thought of before? Are you reaching out to stuff that you should have been playing maybe all along? Are you still able to find, right, the ones that are tried and true that have worked for you at events and before? And if the answer to any of those is no, then it sounds like you got a new way to look than what you've just done.
You mentioned the finding your favorites, and of course, again going back to when we had our CDs in front of us, and we would be making some specific compilation CDs. That's actually an area in which I have. I started with that this past fall, is going to those old sets of discs because we would produce, we'd get the music in, and it's like instead of carrying 10 discs, I took the hits off the releases and made it down into one type of thing. Taking those and starting to put those songs into folders that made sense for where those songs were, because we would make them, we'd call them our current discs. Because I had two of the, one for Lori's system and one for mine, and we would neither of us wanted to carry all the top hits. We were getting the top hits and we were getting the weeklies and the recurrents, and it's like, we're not going to carry all these weeklies because that fills a book up immediately. So we made these compilations from those discs. And it would have, some of the newer songs that were just released. It might have a couple of throwbacks where people were asking for, and it's like, well, I want them at quicker access. And then invariably there would be a song that was an 80s tune or something that was coming on or was in a movie or something. And I was looking back at some of those, and it's like, gosh, we had some really good stuff that was down on the disc that we had missed it the first time 3 years earlier, but now all of a sudden people were asking for it, or here's an 80s tune that I heard in a restaurant when we were somewhere, and it's like, oh, we should add that to our playlist type of thing. So that became the seed for many of those decades folders, when it's like, that song I forgot all about. I haven't found that one, and I haven't played it since I've gone digital. But once I moved it into the folder and I could easily find my favorites type of thing, it helped tremendously.
I think at the time, especially with that, you needed something that was easy to grab. Like you said, you brought the stuff that was more current, or was more going to be top of the mind, and you put those in a forefront type of position. Now I think we don't necessarily think that way a lot of times, because it's like, well, it's digital. If I know it, I can do a search, and in any of the software, it's going to come up in 3 seconds. I mean, I've had somebody come up and request a song when there's 20 seconds left, and it's the bride who really wants to hear it, and it's like, okay, done. And I'm not even worried about mixing. I'm going to slam mix it, and it's going to be fine, because it was the song that it was. I couldn't even think about doing that, at that time. And so I think we don't necessarily think we have to keep things forefront, but then what ends up happening is when we go into that search, when we go into that look, just scrolling through a folder going, I need something that's going to match with this. I need something that's going to match with this, or whether it's BPM, or whether it's style, or whether it's genre or decade or whatever, it becomes more difficult, because now we're just amassed with so many. It's almost like looking at the entire CD crate going, I'm going to pick that CD.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes too difficult. It's too cumbersome. And so narrowing down to those hits, you still have everything. Don't be dumb and get rid of stuff, and then somebody wants to hear it, because you don't know what might be somebody's sorority song or fraternity, drinking buddies or whatever. This is a way for you to be able to have it, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to play it. And I think that's what also happened with me. I would, with my decade folders, every so often I would try and pare them down, but I didn't want to get rid of the songs, so I would just dump them into some weird folder that I would call just random or backup, like or even stuff that I knew never became popular, but I didn't want to totally get rid of it, so I would drop it in this folder in another spot, just so it would still be in the search engine, but it would not be a folder I would ever check.
So one of the at one time when we were training the multi-system and training staff, is we would have rankings on songs. And I even talked a little bit about having the more of a sure play type songs in that 70s show tonight. By the way, if you're in Germany and you're watching this show, you can't see the 70s show. It's now been blocked in the United Kingdom and Germany. Still available in the United States and Canada, which surprised me. Canada usually is one of the first ones that gets blocked. We would have the A, which were basically the guaranteed they're going to work I Love Rock and Roll type songs. They're going to work at the wedding. The B were the songs that, okay, after we played I Love and Rock and Roll, maybe it was the Jessie Girl type thing that's pretty good, and it would go over at most weddings pretty well, but it's not the guaranteed hit. Then we'd have the C and the D. D would basically be, you should know that the song exists, but you probably will not play it unless it's requested. C is if you are in that genre and you have to go deep, this is still playable, but it's for the third time around of that genre, or fourth time around of that genre. And I've thought about going back and doing that on tagging the songs, because you can do some things with that within the software. And I thought, I remembered back, it's like when we had that, you really got to the point where you were just playing the same songs over and over and over again, and you weren't really introducing, trying to do some things and having more variety, because you were sticking with the old reliables time and time again. And that's one of the concerns I have with even putting the folders together like that is, are we going to lead back to that, or am I going to lead myself back into that situation? Because there were nights where you'd feel like, oh, I'm playing the same songs over and over. So then you'd start pawing through the CDs, and it's like, oh yeah, I haven't played this song in a long time. But unless that wasn't something I naturally would have done, because you had the old reliables and they worked every weekend. So,
Well, I think there's a time and a place where anything can become repetitive. Any system that you have, it has the possibility to lead itself to that problem. And for me, having everything in the folder, I went to the same songs time and time again, almost sometimes in the same order, because I knew exactly where they were.
mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't a search. It was like, boom, it's going here, I'm going here, I'm going here. And I would think 5 songs ahead because I had done it the previous 3 weeks. And so trying to work something different, trying to look at something in a different light, I think still helps to not. I think if you make your folders too narrow, you run into that problem. Well, I'm going to use every song that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's definitely a happy medium between so restrictive and just everything under the sun. Put it, getting him into that better position, I think will help. It also will help if if you're in a position like me where you're doing weddings and school dances. I really don't need my school dance stuff in my wedding stuff. I mean, there's some few songs that are definitely going to cross over, but face it, majority of them are not. And so within that, by trimming those out, it now helps my searching. It helps my scrolling. It helps me grab for some of the songs that I may not have thought of because I see them. Where before I'm just like looking for that song that I know is going to be okay.
Yeah, I kind of miss that seeing them in some way, shape, or form, when you could actually hold it and see that. And I could put the CD on the table next to me, so I'd remember to play it a little bit later, those types of things. And yeah, there's the side list and the playlist and things, but I don't know. There's just part of that tactile stuff. Cool. There's some good discussion going on in the chat room. What we should probably do is let's just kind of wrap things up here, and let's set up the chill room. I think I want to see if the chill room is if there's folks out there yet. For those of you who have never been to our chill room, it's djntv.com/chill, and you have to sign in with a name and an email. And once you do that, let's see. Yeah, we'll call it that. There we go.
They talked about, meeting with those vendors.
So there are some folks out in the chill room.
Very cool.
So yeah, we've got a few folks out there. Excellent. So we're gonna wrap up things here and let folks go out there, and you guys can then talk more about what's going on out. For those of you, if you are in a chill room, you would have seen a Fred jump in. That's my iPad. My white iPad is this is Fred. Fred's usually a good boy. So
doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Never see him.
Never see him. Just does the job and doesn't. Only has to be plugged in once in a while. So it's pretty good. So yeah, I think the big thing though is as Dan mentioned earlier is you need to find something that works for you. And I think it would be great to we should have Shani on a night to show, because she's got a pretty elaborate system on how she does things too with her music folder management and such, and how she goes through things. But she's actually into that situation where she actually takes songs out of folders, which I don't know if I've ever really done that unless I put it in by mistake. Once a song goes in, it's like it dies there. It'll be there forever. It will be there forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the chill room link in there. You guys can go get yourself in there. And by the way, the chill room is open 24/7, so you can go in there anytime. It's generally moderated in the evenings from like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern, roughly, until probably about midnight. Some nights from 9 o'clock Eastern until 5 in the morning. Yeah, that happened like 3 times last week. So you guys can go out there. And again, if there's any problems or anything with that, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, John, there's this person who is causing a problem. I can actually go and find them now in the system because they have to register. And if we have to, we will ban people. You know, if they start telling really bad jokes, we will take care of it. So we want to make it so it's a good place and such, and everyone can have some fun. So coming up this week, tonight, we're going to have Howard Wallach's going to be with me in the first show tomorrow night. Then Ben Stowe and I are going to talk about cleaning your gear. The show is titled, I spilled my ice cream. Oops, I spilled my ice cream. So how do you clean the gear? And we're going to talk about a variety of different scenarios of making our gear how it got messy, and when we try to clean it, when we basically say it's not worth it, or when we should send it in for repair without trying to clean it. So we're going to dig into those scenarios. And then Jay and Brian are going to be talking about, oh gosh, can't remember. Oh, small DJ systems. I asked the two guys to put thoughts together on a competent small DJ system that could fit in the backseat of a car for small weddings. So they're going to dig into that. And then Wednesday night, then MJ is going to be doing a live music and mixing show with a Q&A time, so you guys can get in there. And I think he's going to really dig into more on how he does the live streaming. We talked in general last week when we did the show, but he's actually going to show you with cameras and different things exactly what he's doing, because he does things at a higher level than most live streamers do. Specifically, I use 2 and sometimes 3 devices at the same time. MJ generally uses 1. He's got it set up that way. So I think that's it. Yeah.
All right.
I think we're good.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time to join us tonight. Hopefully you got some ideas. I know we talked kind of in generals on a lot of things, but again, the big key we would suggest is reach out to people, get your ideas, and then try them, play with them while you've got this time. And again, don't create everything. Just try a little bit of taste of it and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, then move on to the next idea that you get, and so on and so forth from there. But we will see you next Monday night. Enjoy your night. See you in the chill room. Good night.
Bye, everybody.